Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a topic that is rather obscure but still all the more interesting. In Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones, we get to see the office of Supreme Chancellor Palpatine. Palpatine had modified and personalized his office in the council chambers because he didn't intend to be voted out anytime soon, and was most certainly in it for the long haul. Within these chambers, he had adorned them with a few personal touches, such as several Brosnium statues depicting 4 distinct humanoids. While it is easy to write off these as just background decoration, anyone who knows Palpatine knows that he hardly ever does anything without a hidden meaning, plan, or purpose, including these statues, as they have an intricate backstory that reaches to the very beginning of the Star Wars timeline, and may have even been an inspiration for the Sith Order as we know it today. The best part about all of this is that it is indeed canon, so without further ado, it is time to tell the tale of the 4 Sages. The 4 Sages of Duarte were a group of politicians and philosophers that hailed from the planet of Duarte, and had a large influence within the earliest days of the Galactic Republic's reign, formation, and constitution. The 4 Sages, named Sistros, Brata, Feya, and Yan Jun, were actually rather notorious and controversial figures in their day. Although the 4 Sages were noted for possessing much arcane wisdom, their views and decrees were regarded as coldly unsparing, and often generated controversy among others, especially to species new to the Republic. Sistros was accused of pandering to the multitude for selfish ends. Brata was known for having encouraged the study of the dark side of the Force. Keep in mind that they existed at the formation of the Galactic Republic, which places them around 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. One thing to consider is that the Jedi Order by now was still on the planet of Tython and in its infancy, and very much involved in their study, not looking to the wider galaxy for counsel or even a part of it at all. The Second Great Schism, which was the birth of the Sith Order, happened in the year 7003 BBY. To give you guys a little bit more perspective, it is believed by some that the 4 Sages' practices and encouragement of exploring the dark side, it was one of the inspirations behind the very Sith Order itself, which is the exact reason why they were placed within Palpatine's office. This theory can be backed up by the very fact that Palpatine seems to admire them a great deal, having not only those larger statues in his office, but a collection of miniaturized Bronzium statues that he kept with him. In the ceremonial office area, 2 statues stood on either side of the Chancellor's official desk. In fact, Palpatine seemed to have a specific affinity for Sistros. Sistros was the largest statue in his office, and where he kept his second lightsaber hidden. He took a small statue of Sistros with him wherever he went to travel. Furthermore, his assistant and lead advisor, Masa Meta, had a small statue of Sistros on the top of his speaker staff. These statues would continue to be present into the formation of the Empire, and important symbols. Unfortunately, there is very little information regarding what the 4 Sages did in their days, and what they actually stood for, besides their political influences. And again, unfortunately, there isn't any information on what powers they may have held within the Force. But if we know anything about the ancient Sith, it would be very easy to call the 4 Sages the first Sith to ever exist, and with them openly encouraging the study of the dark side, they feared very little. Of course, back in the day, the Jedi Order had yet to become involved in the Galactic Republic, so the dark side didn't yet have such a taboo tied to it. The Bronzium statues themselves were actually forged by the Sith sometime during their reign in the galaxy, which means that the Sith Order does somewhat revere these 4 beings. Perhaps the Sages themselves may not be considered Sith, but it is clear that the Sith have some sort of connection and even reverence towards the 4 beings. So perhaps the 4 Sages were somewhat representative of the dark side in its infancy, and the beginnings of what one day would form into the Sith Empire. Stepping into speculation territory now, if I know anything about the Sith, then I know that they won't pass up an opportunity to imbue power within any item that they craft. Ancient Sith were known for making many powerful talismans and things to give themselves more power, as well as an edge against light side wielders, obviously the Jedi, that did not employ these practices. Here is our theory revolving around the 4 Sages and their statues within Palpatine's office. We believe that each and every one of these many statues in Palpatine's office were each imbued with the dark side of the Force, which helped further cloud the vision of the Jedi that would have entered Palpatine's office, and to further obscure him from their senses. As powerful as Palpatine is with his ability to use Force Cloak technique, which is the the ability and power for Sith to bury their darkness deep enough to elude the senses of a Jedi, it would still be difficult to believe that he escaped the vision of even Grandmaster Yoda, even as the Grandmaster sat a table length away. However, it makes a lot of sense that all of these statues were radiating some sort of dark energy that would cloud his sight while feeding Palpatine's energy. Mas Amedda always followed Palpatine around and was always by his side when he gave speeches. We all know that the Emperor-to-be did reach out with the Force and touch the minds of his audience. Perhaps Mas Amedda's staff could have something like an amplification to his power, a dark side microphone if you will. Again though, at this point, this is all purely speculation. However, it does make sense that these may be relics of the ancient Sith, as these are the literal beings that the ancient Sith were inspired by. As to why Palpatine specifically was interested in the Force Sage member Sistros is a bit more difficult to ascertain. Perhaps Sidious identified with her to some degree, as an individual powerful in the dark side of the Force and yet held so much political power at the same time. Or maybe there is something specific about the way Sistros conducted her power that Palpatine can't help but respect. Something very rare and nigh impossible to achieve to Palpatine is his respect. In fact, you could say that the only beings in the entire galaxy that ever gained the respect of Darth Sidious were Master Yoda and Darth Plagueis. It's clear though that he held some sort of reverence for the Force Sages, specifically Sistros. But as of now, his connection to the Force Sages, specifically Sistros, will remain a mystery. So friends, what did you think of this video? Do you like it when we dive into some of the obscure topics of Star Wars lore? Let us know what kinds of things you would like to see more of on the channel. And as always, may the Force be with you, and I hope you have a great day.